All right, class, we're going to talk about analytical writing versus normal writing. And when I'm referring to normal writing, that's when you're writing emails or you're writing narratives, you're telling your story. So those are those normal writing, sort of everyday writing tasks versus writing for analysis. Now, for this assignment, you have three options. You can fill out the digital version of the note sheet and submit that. If you want to print out a paper version of the note sheet, there's one available for you for that as well. And you can handwrite your notes if that works better for you. Or if you don't have a printer available and would just do handwritten notes on your own, you are welcome to create those on your own paper. The two handwritten versions are going to be required to be submitted as a photo scan. So use your phone to take a scan of that, make sure that it's clear and legible, and then you can submit those photos. If you're submitting the digital version, then of course just submitting that document is going to be fine. All right, let's go ahead and full screen this, and we are going to work our way through this presentation here. So we're going to talk about the differences versus analytical and normal writing. Okay, notice that for both of those, we are not using the pronoun you. We're not using second person in either normal writing or analytical writing. Typically, the only time that we should see you, our author, talking directly to the reader is if we are giving commands. So now, if I'm writing a business email to someone and I'm asking them to do something, then of course you're going to be talking to them. But if I'm writing a personal narrative, I'm not going to be using you. Okay. You're also only going to use second person, or not only, because I just said business emails. You may also use second person in poetry and songwriting, which is, I guess, another type of poetry. But we aren't going to be using that in any assignments that we submit for the class. All right. So what you would use in normal writing is I and me, right? You can use first person. But in analytical writing, we're never going to use first person. Even though we're expressing our ideas and our reasons and our support, we are not going to refer to ourselves in our writing. Instead, we're going to use, we're not going to use I and me. Instead, we're going to use people, many, some, society, readers. These are some other examples that you can use instead. So you're speaking of people or readers or society rather than yourself. Okay, this makes your analysis stronger because people are going to look at it as an opinion, more of an opinion, if you're using I and me versus stating it as solid fact. All right. Now, when you're writing your examples in your trees paragraph, for examples in normal writing, you would use personal stories, anecdotes, right? Your personal narrative did this, okay, or will do this. But your favorite summer activities, you use those personal stories, right? And for examples in analytical writing, you're going to use quotes. Now, remember, quotes aren't just dialogue. If it appears in quotes in the text, yes, you can use that, but you can use anything from the text. So you could use examples where nobody was speaking, but something that the author wrote was clearly supporting your point. You would take that out, and in your essay, you would put it in quotations to show that it's somebody else's words. Okay. Now, for your expounds and explains in normal writing, your expound explains why the topic is personally important to the writer, versus analytical writing, why the topic is relevant to the reader and important for him or her to notice. Okay. So normal writing is why it's important to me as the writer. The analytical writing is why it's important to the rest of the world. Okay. But remember, please remember, in none of your writing should I see you. You are not referring to the reader directly in your writing. Okay, so the bottom line, normal writing is more personal and analytical writing is more thoughtful. Right? It is in-depth, it's based on the text, and it's scholarly. Supportable opinions. All right? If there is no evidence, it doesn't matter what your ideas are. You have to be able to support it. All right, so how do I approach analytical writing prompts? Well, we're going to take a look at what is hidden, right? First, we need to figure out what there is to analyze hidden in the prompt. Everything you need to know to get started writing is there, but you need to make sure you follow it. That prompt is a map of what's expected of you, okay? So I suppose I should have kept that over here. Oh, let's go back. I'm going to drag this. Well, it says how to be independent, and step one is figure it out. Okay, so here we go. We're going to take a look at a sample essay prompt here, okay? And that's going to pull up this prompt, right? So this is a sample Good Earth essay prompt. It is not the Good Earth essay prompt that you're going to be writing. So we have this huge piece of writing here, right? These are your directions, right? And so it says, choose a theme from the novel that you think is especially significant. What do you think Buck is trying to say about the theme through the novel? Write a well-organized one-paragraph, 11-sentence minimum essay that explains how the novel addresses the theme, and at no time should you use any personal pronouns in this essay: I, you, we, us, our, me, or my. Your topic sentence must contain 3 ideas of how the author expresses the theme throughout the novel, and then you must use specific incidents or quotations from the novel to demonstrate each way the theme is expressed. Whew, that's a lot of info there, right? So we're going to go ahead and we are going to break that down, right? So we are, oh, here we go. Let's try this again. All right. So we are going to choose a theme from the novel that you think is especially significant. So this is the prompt we saw, right? So first, we know that we are going to be writing about the theme. That's what it's asking for. If my essay doesn't talk about the theme, I am not addressing the prompt, all right? I know that I need to write an 11-sentence minimum paragraph. I wonder why 11 sentences. Maybe that's because we've been working with the trees paragraph. All right. And it needs to discuss how the novel addresses the theme that I've chosen. It reminds me that I shouldn't be using any personal pronouns. Should be written in the third person. I need to talk about 3 ideas of how the author expresses this theme throughout the novel. Those 3 ideas may also be referred to as reasons, okay? And then you must use specific incidents or quotations. Okay? Those quotes, those are my examples. All right. Once I've done that, that's when I need to BS. I need to brainstorm. I need to think about those literary analysis terms. What do I know, right? Really take some time to focus on that brainstorming. Let's go back, sorry. Brainstorming. Actually take the time to think through multiple possibilities. Your first instinct may be good. Maybe you'll go with that one. But it's always best to come up with multiple ways of attacking it. Okay? If you come up with several different ideas, then you can choose which one is going to be the easiest for you to write about. Okay. It's good to challenge yourself and come up with something that's going to be a little more complex, but you need to make sure that if you decide you want to write about something that is a little more complex, that you have the reasons to support it. So take the time to go through a few ideas and figure out the one that you've got plenty of reasons, plenty of support that you can back up your idea. Okay? So don't just go with your first idea. All right. And then lastly, use transitions. Remember, we've talked about this. Your writing needs to flow. I want those transitions. I expect transitions. Don't use be verbs. Now remember, when I say be verbs, I'm talking about passive voice. There are better verbs that you can use, more descriptive verbs than be verbs, But number one priority is that you're not using passive voice. Those be verbs are going to help you, help kind of signal when you're using passive voice. Not every be verb means a passive sentence, but every passive sentence has one. So if you can come up with better verbs so that your sentence doesn't have passive voice, great. No dead words, not a one. All right. And then make sure you're following the format, the trees format. All right. Okay. So we're going to take a look at a sample chunk here. All right. So this was the prompt. Choose a theme from the novel that you think is especially significant. I don't need to read through this again. You know what it is, right? Now, when you're writing your essay, I expect you to read that prompt multiple times. Anytime you put your essay away and come back to it, you want to read the prompt again. Okay. I've had students start writing about one topic, and by the time they got to the end of their essay, they were writing about another one because they did not revisit the prompt. Make sure that you go back and make sure you've covered all of the information that it's asking for. Okay, so my sample chunk here, a TREE. I've come up with this topic sentence. Through the novel The Good Earth, Pearl S. Buck shows that wealth is not always measured by the gold in one's pockets. She illustrates this with the addition of Olan to his family, the handful of beans that Ching shares with Wang Lung, and Wang Lung's feelings for the poor fool. Okay, so I'm talking about a theme, measure that wealth is not always measured by the gold in one's pockets, and then I'm listing 3 reasons in my topic sentence. Going with that first reason, for instance, Olan instantly enriches Wang Lung's life by providing some relief from the drudgery of his daily chores by taking on a portion of them. Okay, so I'm giving my reason how Olan enriches his life. Then I give an illustration to illustrate with Olan, now a part of his family. When Wang Lung reflects on his work, he thinks to himself, quote, the work was a luxury, for when the sun struck the zenith, he could go to his house and food would be there ready for him to eat, and the dust wiped from the table and the bowls and the chopsticks placed neatly upon it. Okay, so notice what's in quotes there is not something a character said, but it is something directly from the text. Okay, it could have been something he said, but in this case, I just needed a piece of the text that supports my point. Then I give an expound, going into more deep depth. The quote tells me kind of how he feels, but now I need to explain why that's important. Consequently, Wang Lung revels in the fact that he can work in the field, yet not have to concern himself with the preparation of the meal. He can simply go back to his home and sit down to eat. All right, so that's what we need to do. We need to do that for our prompt. Go through, read through the prompt, dissect what's needed, brainstorm, and then get started with our writing. Now it's time for you to get started with yours. I'm sure it will go better than this.